This evening, Council is very grateful to have our own Pastor John Edgar of United Methodist Church for All People in person to pray with us. Pastor, welcome.
Council President Hardin and members of Council, it's an honor to be with you this evening. Will you pray with me? Almighty God, as we assemble for the proceedings of the City Council meeting, we humbly ask that each of us may feel your presence and be guided by your divine righteousness. Inspire us to take to heart the good news that you love every one of us, O Lord, just the way we are, and you aren't finished with any of us yet. Tonight we pray that you pour forth your whispered words of wisdom into the waiting ears and open minds of our council members and their president. Continue to weave them together as an effective force for positive change. Guide them in their deliberations this evening. Inspire them to make decisions that promote the unfolding of your kingdom here in the city of Columbus, even as it is in heaven. May your wisdom also flow outward, washing over, O Lord, all those who have gathered in these chambers. Be especially close to those who will make presentations or speak upon various matters. Dear God, temper their words with civility and shape their requests to be in harmony with your will. Awaken all of us afresh to the truth, dear Lord, that we dwell inside a divine economy of abundance, not scarcity. When we share the best we have received, you take whatever we offer and use it to further build an opportunity-rich community where all may thrive. Inspire each of us, council members and individual citizens, to do everything we can to care for those who are vulnerable and troubled. All this we pray, trusting that your Holy Spirit is already at work within each of our hearts and souls. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barosity, Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of City Council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barosity, Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. This week's communications received by the City Clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll start with resolutions or announcements from our colleagues. Councilmember Bankston.
Thank you, Council President Hardin. Just one announcement and one resolution this evening. First, just an announcement. On June 25th, we are excited, and I'm excited to be going to the Celebrate One Fatherhood Summit. That is Saturday, June 25th from 8:30 to 2 p.m. And I encourage all of our fathers, expecting fathers, to go to Eventbrite to get more details and to register for this great summit. On the consent agenda tonight, I'm proud to sponsor legislation and additional funding for this great event and look forward to celebrating with all the fathers there and learning and what we can do. As a new father, I am learning. My son, he just started walking. I'm trying to learn the tricks and trades to this thing called fatherhood. So it'll be a great place for new fathers, old fathers, seasoned fathers, all of us to come together and learn from each other. Director Stapleton, did you have anything to add at all about the summit?
We just want to thank you for your support and are looking forward to this because it is our first opportunity to do something for fathers, which we do for moms all the time. And so it's an opportunity for fellowship. It's an opportunity to become closer to some truths and some opportunities to strengthen relationships, not just with your children, but your significant others, no matter what role they played in your lives, and also to meet one-on-one with service providers who can be of support as well. So we're really, really excited. We have a panel of former OSU athletes as well who will be participating, and their fathers who have learned some lessons along the way, and they have things to share. And so we're really, really excited. And again, thank you, Councilmember Bankston and the entire council for your support.
Absolutely. Thank you, Director Stapleton, for your leadership. We know that Celebrate One, it's all about healthy babies and birth outcomes and getting baby to one, but our fathers and villages have a part and role to play in that. So thank you for your leadership. Also, Council President, tonight I do have Resolution 011X-2022. And as I read the resolution and give remarks, I'm going to have Javon Collins and representatives from the Maroon Arts Group, Central Ohio African American Chamber of Commerce, Blackout and Proud, King Arts Complex, and the Urban League. If you all would just start coming forward at this time as we read it. Resolution 0116X-2022 is to honor and recognize and celebrate June 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth in the city of Columbus. Council colleagues, and for the audience and those watching at home who may be unfamiliar with Juneteenth, I would like to provide a brief background on what Juneteenth is. Juneteenth, short for June 19th, is an annual holiday that commemorates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans in the United States. June 19, 1865, marks the day when African Americans in Galveston, Texas, were informed of their freedom and that the Civil War had ended. This came 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. The holiday has since received its name by culminating on June and 19, and also referred to as Liberation Day, or Black Independence Day, and also Freedom Day. Juneteenth is a day of profound weight and power, a day in which we remember the moral stain and America's original sin, a long legacy of systemic racism, inequality, inequity, and inhumanity. But it also reminds us of our incredible capacity to be resilient and to heal, to give and seek out hope, as well as emerge with purpose and resolve. There has been a noticeable increase in Juneteenth celebrations across the United States over the past few years, with the year's holiday coming just over a month after a white gunman killed 10 Black people in a supermarket in Buffalo, one of the deadliest racist massacres in recent U.S. history. As a result, Juneteenth celebrations will still resonate in new ways, acknowledging the original sentiment of racial division still existing in America and the work we must continue to strive for. I am honored to present this resolution before Council and look forward to working with all of you to continue our fight to empower and uplift Black residents here in the city of Columbus and throughout our nation. Tonight in Chambers, we have awesome organizations that represent the African American community here to accept the resolution. So I just want to acknowledge again the Maroon Arts Group, Central Ohio African American Chamber of Commerce, Blackout and Proud, the King Arts Complex, and the Columbus Urban League here to receive this resolution, but also for all the work that you do every single day on behalf of our residents. And at this time, I will kick it over to our fearless leader, Ms. J. Avery Frost, Executive Director of the Central Ohio Black Chamber of Commerce.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Council, for this honor and for your support. We really, truly appreciate the City of Columbus for your support to our event. And you all and the other supporters really just are hallmarks to the truly collaborative nature of what we're trying to do here. So there are 6 of us represented, 6 organizations, but we represent 100+ organizations that will be present on Saturday. Many of whom are small businesses, Black-owned small businesses, Black-led organizations, and more, who are all coming together to celebrate on the Ave. And so we thank you for this, and we hope that we see you all out on the day. We'll be there June 18, Mount Vernon from 17th to St. Clair from 12 to noon, or 12 to 6 p.m. I'm sorry. Anything else? I think that's it. Oh, and Ohio History Connection is one of our partners as well.
Absolutely.
As well as the James Preston Poindexter Foundation. Yes.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to being, so just so y'all know, when we say the Ave, that means Mount Vernon Avenue for those
Yes.
who are not clear. So come out and help and celebrate all of the accomplishments of the African American community Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for adoption.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
And that's all I have this evening for announcements and resolutions.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Barosa de Padilla.
Thank you. I have two announcements today. First, I would like to give a warm welcome to Katie White in her new role at the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging. Katie succeeds previous director Cindy Farson and has more than 15 years of experience in the aging field. Previously, she worked at the Age-Friendly Innovation Center at OSU's College of Social Work and Village Connections, a nonprofit organization that helps senior citizens in German Village remain active and independent while living at home. She's an incredible advocate for our older adults, and we're excited for her. So welcome, Katie. Secondly, June is Immigrant Heritage Month, and City Council will be hosting a number of events to celebrate and honor our strong immigrant heritage here in the city of Columbus. So please mark your calendars for Saturday, June 25th from 10 to 2 p.m. as we host the first International Summit with our partners, CODA, MORPHSE, Community, Refugee, and Immigration Services, or CRIS, and the Council on World Affairs. And we do have one speaker to share more about this summit. Our partners at MORPHSE are here. I want to invite Niel Juris, Senior Director of Communications and Engagement from MORPHSE, to share more about the summit. I gave you a long, dramatic entrance.
I appreciate that.
Anytime.
Thank you, Councilwoman Barosa de Padilla, Council President Harden, and members of council for the opportunity to share more about our inaugural Columbus International Summit. So as you may or may not know, our region is on track to become 3 million in population by 2050. Over the last decade, our region has been increasingly diverse. In fact, the majority of the new population we've seen in the last decade can be attributed to new immigrants, migrants, and refugees. And I'm proud to say that Columbus is a welcoming community. As Councilwoman stated, the Columbus International Summit will take place on Saturday, June 25th at the Linden Community Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll feature a variety of community resources and feature representatives from various organizations discussing topics such as transportation, education, health, and housing. Additionally, we have more than 30 community organizations, vendors, entertainment, free health screening by Equitas Health and Columbus Public Health. The event is made possible with the leadership and support of our council members, Director Stanley Gates and the Community Engagement Team, Chris, CODA, Columbus Council of World Affairs, our Executive Director, William Murdoch, and my team, the Communications and Engagement team. We need your help in getting this information out to the community, and so if you have a desire to become a sponsor, a vendor, or just for more information, you want to visit morpse.org. And once again, thank you for the opportunity to share information about our first Columbus International Summit. We hope to see you on Saturday, June 25th.
Thank you so much for joining us. So that is June 25th from 10 to 2 p.m. at Linden Recreation Center. We're excited to host it in Linden. Linden is one of our emerging communities where we have a large population of immigrants, migrants, and refugees moving to that area. So we are excited to share the gem that is the Linden Community Center with all of the city, but certainly with our IRMA communities. So with that, those are all the announcements from me. Council Press, thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. President Pro Tem. Councilmember Dorans. Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Council President Harden. I am thrilled to share that we are now accepting applications for the 2022-2023 Columbus Youth Council program. Interested Columbus City School juniors and seniors can apply by visiting www.columbus.gov/CYC. The Columbus Youth Council program gives Columbus High School juniors and seniors an opportunity to immerse themselves in city government and learn how they can become better stewards in their community. Students selected will participate in several lessons dealing with topics such as structure of city government, city development, what municipalities can and cannot do, and much more. My office, along with the Department of Development, has been working to update the CRA residential tax abatement policy, which serves to incentivize the creation of affordable housing units accessible for individuals and families. Now that we have the draft policy with all proposed changes, we are hosting a series of public hearings to share the proposed changes to the CRA policy and have a chance for our community to provide feedback. This Wednesday, June 15th at 5:30 p.m., I will hold a public hearing to review the CRA residential tax abatement policy here in council chambers. Residents interested in providing testimony may request a speaker slip by emailing my legislative assistant, Anissa Lieben, at aaliban@columbus.gov. And those interested in submitting written testimony may do so by emailing Anissa as well. The hearing will also be recorded and live streamed on the city's YouTube page. The Department of Development will be holding an in-person community meeting on Tuesday, June 21st at 5:30 at St. Stephen's Community House. Residents interested in providing spoken or written testimony can do so by emailing kcredelberger@columbus.gov. Last year, I championed the Housing for All legislative package, which focused on dismantling the systems that have perpetuated racism and inequity within housing, while working to advance fair, affordable housing strategies for all in our community. Included in the package is a ban on source of income discrimination, making it illegal for landlords to refuse to rent to prospective tenants based on his or her source of income, renter's choice, which provides tenants with 3 different options to pay their security deposit, and last but certainly not least is rental receipts, which now requires landlords to provide a rental receipt to tenants who pay with cash or money order, establishing an important protection for both tenants and landlords. In order to ensure that tenants are property owners alike are aware of their rights and are in compliance with this legislation, we partnered with Renter Mentor, the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, and Cohere to conduct a research and education campaign. I am excited to share and invite you all to the Housing for All education campaign launch and town hall event on Wednesday, June 29th. The Housing for All education campaign and town hall is intended to boost public awareness of the new rights granted to Columbus residents and learn from local leaders about how the city will continue to advance fair, affordable housing strategies for all in our growing community. For more information and RSVP link, please email my legislative assistant, Anissa Lieben, at aaliban@columbus.gov. And last but certainly not least, June is National Gun Violence Awareness Month, which was created to draw attention to the tragic reality of gun violence in America and honor the victims and families impacted by gun violence and demand change. Tonight, we are all wearing orange to raise awareness about gun violence, and following council meeting tonight, we will be hosting a gun violence awareness vigil and illuminating City Hall in orange. I encourage you all to join us tonight if you can. And last but certainly not least, Council President, I have Resolution 0117X-2022 to recognize June 14th as 614 Day in Columbus, in the city of Columbus. I will invite Johan Terrell to the podium at this time as well. 614 Day is a reflective of the date that matches our beloved city's 614 area code, and is a special time that we reflect, respect, and honor all that makes the city of Columbus unique. The citywide 614 Day was brought to Columbus by Johan Terrell and Warhol and Wall Street, and has collaborated with various partners that have helped to celebrate the growing celebration every year. 614 Day provides residents from all over the city of Columbus an opportunity to observe our city's strong relationship with our local businesses and neighborhoods, and to show appreciation of their support. As our city continues to recover from the challenging year, the 2022 614 Day is a celebration and all about honoring the perseverance of our city. With that, I'll turn it over to Johan Terrell to talk about tomorrow's celebration.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Favor, and to all of the other council members. Appreciate it. So much love and support from all of you on council. So thank you again. Again, 614 Day 2022 is back. We were kind of offline in 2020 when COVID hit, and we dipped our toe in a little bit in 2021, and now in 2022 we're glad to be back together as a city. And so we're expanding this year, and in honor of 614 Day, we are going to be in 6 locations, one day for the city. So that's the theme this year. So we wanted to make sure that we're continuing to press that 614 Day is about supporting local all across our city. So we're encouraging people to buy local, eat local, drink local, shop local, support local initiatives, and just celebrate the greatness of the city. So thank you for your support. Wolf, you want to say anything?
Y'all won't let me retire from doing events, will you? Seriously, though, about, I don't know, how many years have we been doing this?
About 7 now, yeah.
About 7 years ago, Yog would call me and he'd be like, hey, we're doing this event and we need to bring in more diversity and we need to make sure we're bringing people together. Then a week later, I'd call him and say, hey, we're doing this. Can you bring your fly paper network to us? And that just grew and grew. And with Mike Brown and with so many of y'all up here, we were able to build this thing. And I'm just so proud to see what it's grown into and that someone else is doing most of the work. So thank you, and thank you for honoring it.
Okay, Malcolm's mouth is numb, so sorry. But no, we really appreciate all the support, and we want to hope that this continues to grow and that every year we help boost the local economy by getting people out to support local any way they can. So thank you, Council. Thank you, Councilman Favor.
So last year, I remember we were on the rooftop of the Bud Dairy.
Yes.
I think there's some video clips of me doing a line dance, I'm
Yeah, I
sure,
think
at
so.
some point in time. But where can folks find out more information about tomorrow's events?
Yes. So Facebook 614 Day CBus and also 614daycbus.com. We're going to be at the 6 locations we'll be at this year is we'll be back at Bud Dairy. So come on out. We'll be at 7 Sun. They've always been a great partner. We'll also be at Easton, Adela's on Oak, and Antiques on High, and Land Grant right in Franklin's. And so we are really trying to be where the culture's at, where the people are, and make it diverse and make sure we're supporting other local businesses. So come out to any of those locations and have a good time. Music, live music, DJs, vendors, the whole nine.
Including line dances.
Including line dances, yes.
Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues?
I just want to say thank you. I was so excited about 614 Day. I actually declared today 614 Day like a whole day early because I didn't look at my calendar. But no, thank you for providing a space where we can really love on our city and support our local businesses, because especially at a time now where so many folks weathered a storm through the pandemic, the fact that folks made it is an opportunity for us to really celebrate and pour into those local folks who are literally living their dreams and making things happen in our city and making our city the amazing place that it is. So thank you for throwing a party for 614. I like to play in 6 locations for one. It took me a second, but thank you. Thank you for all that you do for our city's makers and creators and artists.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Councilmember. We cannot take our brick and mortar establishments for granted. We have to continue to support them with every dollar that we can. So thank you, gentlemen, for all the work that you do, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well. With that, I'll move for passage.
Second. Please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. I have 2 resolutions and 1 announcement this evening. The first is Ordinance 113X 2022 to recognize the strength, courage, and perseverance of millions of refugees and to celebrate June 20th, 2022 as World Refugee Day in the city of Columbus. The United Nations General Assembly adopted Resolution 5576 on December 4th, 2000 to officially recognize June 20th as World Refugee Day. This year's theme is whoever, wherever, whenever, everyone has the right to seek safety. And the United Nations outlines the fundamentals of seeking safety to include the right to seek asylum, safe access to borders, no pushbacks, no discrimination, humane intent, and at least 82.4 million people have been forced to flee their homes worldwide, and 1 in every 95 people on Earth have fled their home as a result of conflict or persecution. More than 32,700 residents in the Columbus metropolitan area were likely refugees, which is 17.7% of the overall new American population. In 2019, Ohio welcomed approximately 1,500 refugees, with many settling in Franklin County. This was possible because of the network of resettlement agencies who are actively working with refugees in Columbus, regardless of their country of origin or religious beliefs. The City of Columbus has a proud history of welcoming refugees by offering a safe and thriving environment to report refugees seeking a new beginning. Efforts to support these communities are ongoing and constantly evolving. The local refugee community contributes an estimated $1.6 billion to the Columbus economy and supports over 21,000 jobs in the region. New Americans households at large held 10.1% of spending power in the metropolitan area and contributed $15.4 billion to this metropolitan area's GDP. Through resiliency, self-sufficiency, and entrepreneurship, local refugees have established new paths and built networks of support and commerce, which have had a positive impact in Columbus for new and existing residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby recognize and celebrate June 20th, 2022 as World Refugee Day and renews its commitment to welcoming and supporting all new Americans in the City of Columbus. Tonight we have a few guests joining us virtually to share a few words. Dr. Seleshi Asphalt, the President and CEO of Ethiopian Thai Wahedo Social Services, Angie Plummer, the Executive Director of Community Refugee and Immigration Services, and Nadia Kasvin, co-founder and Executive Director of Us Together. I'd like to thank you all for joining us to share a few words this evening as we recognize the contributions made by refugees in Columbus, Central Ohio, and the nation. One of the most beautiful things about our community is access to a variety of cultures, foods, textiles, and social groups that allows almost anyone from around the world to call Columbus and Central Ohio home. Without further ado, I will call on Dr. Seleshi Asphalt. Dr. Seleshi, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Seleshi. Thank you, my friend, Council Member Emmanuel Remy, for advocating and supporting the refugees cause here in Central Ohio in Columbus. I really thank you, the city of council members of the city, and also Council President Shannon Harden. This is really, you guys, you set the example of what a welcoming city looks like, recognizing refugees, their work, their impact to our city. I'm the witness, really, for this leadership, how you embrace us, how you welcome it, the refugee immigrant community here in Central Ohio. And what a week it is. June 20th is a Refugee Day, June 19th is the Juneteenth, and then, the Migration Heritage Month. This is really a liberating month, week and month for us. So really, this is humanitarian and legal obligations for all of us. So the refugee immigrant community in Central Ohio is growing. The impact, as you have read, is really palpable. So what does it mean the Refugee Day is strength, courage, and resilience? That's what, we have been doing. And, the good thing that, I would like, the council members to know is that your example is now spreading out to the suburbs like Reynoldsburg, Whitehall, Westerville, and all other Central Ohio suburban communities are following your example. This week, I was working in Reynoldsburg neighborhoods, and I see a weird sign saying that the city of Reynoldsburg community for respect, diversity, inclusion, education, and history. I was so very amazed to see that development. I have been here for more than 24 years. This is the development that we have seen, and thank you so much for recognizing and the impact of refugees and immigrants. There are about 24.6 million refugees out of the 82 migrations. So that is really a fraction of it that coming to Columbus. But your intention, your support is palpable. We thank you so much. We'll work together as the Columbus way and one Columbus. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Seleshi. We appreciate all your work that you contribute in this space. Our next speaker is Miss Angie Plummer.
Thank you, Councilmember Ramey. Good evening, President Harden, President Pro Tem Brown, and all members of council. By celebrating World Refugee Day, we honor the resilience and courage of refugees around the world. And this year in particular is one for great reflection. What a year. Last year at this time, we were navigating how to welcome refugees during COVID. In August, Afghanistan fell to the Taliban, and who can forget the horror and chaos of the evacuations? But collectively, we as a city have helped hundreds of evacuees find safety here. Even before we were done resettling Afghan evacuees, because we've had some come as recently as last week, Russia invaded Ukraine in February. We had two sisters who were scheduled to arrive that week in February. They had to flee to Poland. And in keeping with this theme of celebrating, I wanted to let you know they are coming next week. Also, in terms of celebrating, I want to celebrate our staff because I am so proud that we placed over 300 Afghan evacuees into permanent housing in less than 30 days. I want to celebrate the mentees in our Refugee Youth Mentorship program who graduated from high school. Our increased capacity to deliver legal services because of the support of this council and this community. We're partnering with Us Together and Columbus Legal Aid to provide those services. We're expanding our mental health services, emergency rental assistance, and also excited to host our first ever children's Good Neighbor training because good neighbors come at all ages. We've expanded our citizenship class offerings into 2 new locations, one at Northern Lights and one at the Hilliard Library. And we've just started a new asylum seeker welcome program because no matter where you're from, you should be entitled to welcome. And finally, to this group, I wanted to note how thankful I am and how much we want to celebrate partnerships. It's our partnerships, our community organizations with the city council, city government, the county government, faith-based groups, and individual volunteers that make all of this possible. I would very much like to thank Councilmember Ramey for all the assistance in helping us to pave a way to find that permanent housing for the Afghans when they were coming. Once they find stability, we're able to continue to help them on that path to stability by learning English, getting jobs, and if someone's really lucky, you'll be invited to a dinner. So these crises may seem very far away, but really we're privileged to do our part locally to welcome people who were strangers, but then they come to be our friends. We're privileged to hear their stories, to share their pain and their joy while they navigate a new life. And I would be remiss not to mention the backlog of cases, particularly from Africa. It's important to note that we continue to advocate for a system that is treating everyone with dignity and equal value. So thank you, City Council, for making Columbus a welcoming community and for continuing your partnership with us.
Thank you very much, Angie. We appreciate all the contributions. Our final speaker this evening is Ms. Nadia Kasman.
Good evening, everyone. President Hardin and members of City Council, thank you for having me. My name is Nadia Kasvin, and I'm the co-founder and co-director of Us Together, an organization which has been providing services to refugees and immigrants and limited English proficient clients since 2003. It is an honor to join Columbus City Council in celebrating World Refugee Day. Thank you to Councilmember Ramey for sponsoring this resolution and for always serving as a compassionate leader for all who call Columbus home. Issues of human displacement are not new, but the sheer number of those who are displaced is growing at unprecedented rate. Global challenges such as climate change, COVID-19 pandemic, unstable economic conditions, and wars have created the largest number of displaced individuals in modern history. I myself came to this country as a refugee from Ukraine 29 years ago. and been advocating for refugees all these years. I know what it's like to leave everything behind, including your family, and come to the unknown land and start rebuilding your life in this new environment. But I also now know what it's like to continue working here, assisting the newcomers to integrate into our communities while my own country of origin is at war. So I want to take this moment to really highlight contributions of all the staff of Us Together, CRIS, ETSS, and all the other refugee serving agencies who themselves came to this country as refugees and immigrants from all over the world and now give back by serving others, just like when we came here, somebody helped us. We pride ourselves on being a welcoming city, and creating an America that welcomes all refugees and immigrants starts with making changes here in our own communities. No act of kindness and welcoming is too small, and I want to thank everybody in our communities who participate in this effort. All our volunteers, mentors, everybody who reached out with kind words. It's especially important now as we have expanded our efforts to not just provide integration services to refugees, but also those who come with humanitarian parole status from Afghanistan and Ukraine. And the community response to support these communities has been unprecedented. We all have the power to make a great impact. We're all stronger together, and I want to thank everybody in our city of Columbus. Thank you all for support.
Thank you so much. You guys are all doing great, life-changing work, and we are so proud to partner with you. It's always a solutions-oriented conversation when there's a problem, and so that is truly appreciated. Would any of my colleagues like to comment or? All right, thank you. If not, I move for adoption.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopted.
And just in light of what our presentation just was, I'd like to take a moment to invite all of our viewers and attendees to join us virtually on Wednesday, June 15th, as we celebrate our second naturalization ceremony right here in the People's House in council chambers. A naturalization ceremony occurs when foreign-born immigrants are granted U.S. citizenship after he or she fulfills the requirements established by Congress to become a citizen. During the ceremony, immigrants recite an oath of allegiance to the United States and receive their legal documents denoting their new status as American citizens. This year, we expect about 50 petitioners to become U.S. citizens here at City Hall. The Honorable Chief Judge Algernon Marbley will preside, and guest speaker will be Nadia Kasvin, who we just heard from. She is co-founder and executive director of Us Together, once again, and has a great story to share. I'm proud to host this ceremony in conjunction with all my colleagues on council, and certainly in support of the upcoming celebration on June 25th, the International Summit that Councilmember Barosa de Padilla is hosting along with the rest of us. So you're welcome to join us with going to the Facebook page or YouTube Live at 1 p.m. this Wednesday. And that is all I have under that section. But next, I'd like to invite up Betsy Pandora, the Executive Director of the Short North Alliance, along with Tyler Puhle, the Executive Vice President of Wood Companies, and any other residents representatives of the Short North Good Neighbor Pledge to the podium as I introduce 115X 2022 to recognize the businesses and property owners who have taken the Short North Good Neighbor Pledge. The Short North is culturally rich and vibrant Columbus neighborhood, home to over 15,000 residents and over 300 exciting businesses. Sorry, my computer changed. The majority of which are locally owned and headquartered. The Short North welcomes more than 4 million visitors each year, drawn to the neighborhood's variety of amazing art, dining, nightlife, fashion, and retail locations. Commitment to community, safety, and inclusion is important to all Short North business operators, residents, and visitors, and benefits the vibrancy and cohesion of the neighborhood. The Short North Good Neighbor Pledge program, administered by the Short North Alliance, is a voluntary, collaborative, community-wide effort to foster transparent communications among all stakeholders who enjoy the Short North community. Business and community property owners that sign the Short North Good Neighbor Pledge commit to practice community standards to private businesses operations that support the economic success of businesses, that foster the Short North Arts District as a vibrant, creative, and inclusive community and leading arts destination, and that prevent impacts to adjacent historical residential neighborhoods. The Good Neighbor Pledge has been embraced and signed by more than 100 Short North businesses and commercial property owners. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby recognize the 100 Good Neighbor Pledge signatories for their commitment to the economic success, safety, and vibrancy of the Short North community. I'd like to thank Betsy for coming down this evening and all the business and property owners who have signed the pledge. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the floor over to you and Tyler. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Remy, and thank you, Council President Hardin, Council President Pro Tem Brown, and all members of council for giving us this acknowledgement today. I want to reflect on all of the things that you just acknowledged and say it's incredibly powerful to us to be among them. We live in an incredible city, and it's my privilege to be able to provide support and service to our business community members and all of the folks that call the Short North Arts District and the surrounding area home. And that's what this Short North Good Neighbor Pledge is really about. It's our community coming together to show how we care, to show how safety matters, how inclusion matters, and how quality of life for all matters. So what we're doing with this incredible initiative is utilizing not only the commitment of the way that our business community is operating, but resources from our business community and the city to make a substantial impact by not only heightening safety efforts while we are welcoming many, many visitors back to the community, but broadening what we mean by safety efforts by offering trainings to our business community on inclusion, diversity, equity, access, and de-escalation, and on bringing into our community social workers to help support safety for all in our community in the most inclusive way possible. So it's wonderful to us that the Short North community is really the center of the city, and tonight just as City Hall will be illuminated to raise awareness of gun violence, the Short North Arches will be illuminated in a similar manner to raise awareness as well. It means a lot to us that you've been a collaborator in this. I know Councilmember Favor, Councilmember Bankston, you've both been founding members of our Council on Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access, and many of the principles and ideas that have gone into forming the Short North Good Neighbor Pledge really came from your direct participation, and that's a gift of your time when you give your time in so many other ways to this community, so thank you for doing that. It also matters that members of our property ownership community, and in particular the wood companies who own more property than any other owner in the neighborhood, have been at the table and have been leaders in encouraging our businesses to think this way and to bring power to collaboration to this. So I want to thank them, thank the city's Department of Development for all that they've done to really facilitate some hard conversations and some necessary meetings that we hope have really brought some good work into our community that it is truly meaningful for us to play a role in leading. So Tyler, if you'd like to add anything to that, I'd love to turn it to you.
Thank you all very much. Just on behalf of the wood companies, we are very proud to have this heavy lift here without really anything with a playbook associated with it. So we're thankful to the city support, and we really feel that this will be a new birth for the Short North in terms of diversity, equity, inclusion, and quality of life for residents, businesses, and guests. Thank you very much.
All right. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? If not, I move for adoption.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
And that is all I have this evening, Council President.
Thank you, Council Member. This evening I have one resolution, and as I read the resolution, I'd like to invite Pastor Reverend Edgar back up to the podium. When I was inviting him to say our prayer this evening, on my notes it said retired pastor of City for All People. And so we wanted to make sure as council that we are taking the time to recognize and honor and celebrate the work of Reverend Edgar. So we have Resolution, and is Ms. Sue up too? Oh, she's taking pictures. This evening, yes. We'll take the pictures, Ms. Sue. This evening, I have Resolution 0119X-2022, and it's to honor and celebrate the legacy of leadership and service of Reverend John Edgar as he retires after more than 20 years of commitment to the residents of the South Side. Most folks know Reverend Edgar from his role as Executive Director for CD for Our People. And whether it is the Free Store or the Fresh Market on Parsons or City for All People's extensive work on housing, we've all come to rely on Reverend Edgar and his leadership and advocacy for our community's most vulnerable. Reverend Edgar is a servant leader, not an individual who seeks the spotlight for himself, but works tirelessly on behalf of all of our neighbors. And while carrying this reputation of a mild-mannered faith leader, Reverend Edgar's work is based on his strong passion for social justice. I remember reading about Reverend Edgar's former protest activities in Columbus Monthly. He wrote that to urge the State House to prevent utilities from shutting off service to poor residents, he helped carry a bathtub into the State House and dropped it in the atrium to symbolize the impossibility of bathing without heat or electricity. Even as Reverend Edgar departs from his role, we know that he'll continue to be a leader in our community, and City for All People will be in good hands with their next executive director, Mike Primo, taking the helm. We are so appreciative for all that you mean to our community. You are certainly what faith in action looks like, and we're just so grateful. Before I turn it over, I want to just see if any of my other colleagues would like to say. Councilmember, then Inwood, Vice President.
Thank you, Council President, and just wanted to say congratulations, bittersweet on your retirement. I don't think it's going to be retirement though. So, but I just wanted to say publicly thank you. You know, I know that you remember all of the private conversations and honestly mentorship that you provided to me and throughout my career, and most notably the work that we did together in Linden and the One Linden Community Plan. So during the planning process, you were an ear and let me bend it and come up with crazy ideas, and then afterwards were a champion and a partner to raise your hand and be a catalyst in Linden, and really showing, I think, your leadership in the South Side, but taking that and understanding that it's not just about one side of town, but it is truly about the people and where the need is, and that is central to who you are. And so congratulations on retirement. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done in this community, and in particular to work on the South Side. I'm a Columbus kid through and through, and so my father's side of the family is near East Side, but my mother's side of the family are South Side Bulldogs and South Siders. And so for me, it's personal. So thank you so much for your leadership. And I look forward to continue. Don't change your number because I still got your cell, so I can call you.
Thank you.
Well, I am not going to bug you in retirement like Councilmember Bankston. So put me on your good list, put him on your do not answer list. Kidding. Reverend Edgar, it's an honor to honor you in council chambers. I want to echo my colleagues' thanks to you for your work. And it's transformational, and not just what you've been able to accomplish during your career, but you've really set a tone of expectations for how to pour into community, as has been said, a set of expectations for what we can accomplish together. I've often thought to myself, every nook and cranny of our city should have a CD for All People. That is something to aspire to. So thank you for giving us an example. And you have earned this time to rest and be with family, and I know you'll still be in the community, and it will be good to see you every time that you are. But in the meantime, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Councilmember, sure.
Reverend, I just want to echo what my colleagues have already said, but it is so difficult to do the work that you've done to meet immediate need while also at the same time thinking about how to provide holistic development for an area that addresses that need in a long-term way. In an era in which we hear terms like gentrification and pushing people out of places, when you see a place change, what you have helped For All People do is to reverse that, to place those people at the center of that change in a powerful way. And that is so difficult to do. And I think the power of your leadership in that mild-mannered way, whether it's not at City Council or in other places, that is a rare, rare achievement. And something that, John Wesley's looking down on and saying thank you for doing that. So thank you. Congratulations on your retirement. I know you're not going to go far, whether Councilmember Banks is bugging you or not. But thank you for that work.
Thank you.
Well, I've been thinking about today, the first time we had met, and just brought it to your attention that the first time we met is when I was actually still working at the city attorney's office, budding new attorney. And if anyone really knew Rick Pfeiffer and he made a recommendation that you got to meet somebody, then you got to meet somebody, because it's actually worth your time to have a good conversation. And I knew from that first conversation that, and this was before all of the nationwide partnership really started to take effect on the South Side, that you were going to bring some attention to this work, that you were going to be methodical, that you were going to truly represent the least of us. And so I'm incredibly appreciative for your life's work and your commitment in this space. Thank you for the work that you've done. Thank you for your leadership. And I told you earlier today, retirement, right? Best of luck with that. But we look forward to continuing to work with you in any capacity that we can.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. We have had the opportunity to work together for many years, and it has always been a sincere pleasure. I don't know if retirement's a really good word. It's just an opportunity to slow down, spend some time with the family. Your board and organization picked a superb successor in Mike Primo, and I know that although there are big shoes to fill, he's been under your tutelage for quite some time now, and so excited that the organization will keep the trajectory that it's been on, and certainly have appreciated the partnerships, because I think, to Council President Pro Tem's point, we talked about replicating. How do we replicate what you do across the city? And we've had many discussions about that with other organizations, and we'll continue those conversations with the organization. But thank you for the work that you've done on the South Side and up along Livingston Avenue and the partnership with Nationwide. It's been truly remarkable, and we were going to miss you, but I'll still have your cell phone, and I might call if I need to as well. So thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sure.
My button's not working. So it is a beautiful thing to watch someone live their passion and their values. And we lived on the South Side for 10 years, so we got to watch how your love and your passion grew. But I remember when I came last summer and we were touring together, and literally I've never seen someone's face light up in every room that we went into like yours did. For everything. This is our diaper room. Like, this is a room where we do computers. We have an after school program. We have everything was like more and more excitement, and that is contagious. And when we talk about replicating, we can take some of that model, but the specialness of what you built is because you put that love and intention into that work. And at the end of the day, that's what this work is, right? God's work is people's work, and people's work is love work. And so thank you for pouring your love and your intention in making a corner of our city so special, but that continues to grow through all the folks who come through the doors, and all the people who are served, and all the people who volunteer, right? It changes the fabric of their being, and that is lifelong work. So thank you for your continued service, however that shows up in our community.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. Thank you for your gracious words. It has been a delight for Sue and I to work in one way or another with each of you on these various projects. Council President Hardin, Council President Pro Tem Brown, and to all of you on council. It's a joy to be able to be part of the catalytic energy to transform a community and to believe that we can live into the best of our dreams. And that will certainly continue. Mike Primo will do a great job as my successor. I keep it being asked, so what will I do? And I finally kind of honed in on a simple phrase that I want to change the pace, but not the place. I'm committed to the South Side and other neighborhoods in Columbus. And Sue and I will still be here and are excited about what will come next. And again, just thank you. You have been very kind and probably gone way beyond what you should have, but I am grateful for the affirmation and grateful for the next chapters. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Okay. Mm-hmm.
With that, is there a motion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
And on a final note, before we move on to legislation, as folks are probably aware, it's going to be very, very, very hot this week. Very hot this week. Dangerous temperatures in some cases. The index will be over 100 degrees for several days. Life Care Alliance is going to host a fan day this Wednesday. So if you need a fan, you can call 614-437-2870. Again, that's 614-437-2870. Life Care Alliance will also provide a fan to anyone in need, no questions asked. Just provide your driver's license information. All you have to do is call the fan hotline number. But also for our residents who are able, if you have the financial means to donate a fan, you can drop one off at any fire station in our city, in our community this Wednesday. You can also call the Lowe's store on Silver Drive. They are working with Life Care Alliance and will take down credit card payments over the phone to make that donation. We are very appreciative of the work that Life Care Alliance is doing to help our community. And to do our part, next week, Council will advance $25,000 to provide additional fans for our neighbors. Again, look out for our social media. The city, we will be talking about the different things that we will do over this week to make sure that our residents stay safe this week with the heat that we will be seeing, especially our seniors. Make sure you're checking on folks, and we're looking out for one another over the next several days. With that, we will move. Are there any comments from our elected officials? Thank you, thank you. Are there any requests by members of council for the removal of ordinance or resolution? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of 30-day legislation by the clerk? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda?
Economic Development Committee, ordinances 1602 and 1603-2022. Veterans and Senior Affairs Committee, ordinance 1371-2022. Finance Committee, ordinance 1557-2022. And Public Utilities Committee, ordinance 1601-2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. There are no speakers on the first reading portion of the agenda. The following ordinances appear as consent actions. Will the clerk now read those into the record?
Resolutions of expression, 118X-2022. Technology Committee, ordinances 1466, 1514, 1530, 1590-2022. Public Service and Transportation Committee, Resolution 96X-2022 and Ordinance 1395-2022. Neighborhoods and Immigrant, Refugee, and Migrant Affairs Committee, Ordinance 1724-2022. Veterans and Senior Affairs Committee, Ordinance 1370-2022. Finance Committee, Ordinances 1185, 1441, 1456, 1578, 1581, and 1608-2022. Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinances 1078, 1081, 1082, 1333, and 1596-2022. Public Utilities Committee, Ordinances 962, 1394, 1459, 1473, 1507-2022, Housing Committee, Ordinances 318, 444, and 446-2022, Criminal Justice and Judiciary Committee, Ordinance 1616-2022, Health and Human Services Committee, Ordinances 1537, 1542, 1544, 1546, 1547, 1548, 1551, 1552, 1553, 1560, 1567, 1569, 1585, 1623, 1628, 1655, and 1658-2022, Public Safety Committee, Ordinances 1461, 1490, 1493, 1536, 1541, 1573-2022, Environment Committee, Ordinance 1499-2022, appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0145, 146, and 147-2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have two speakers on the consent portion of the agenda. First speaker to come before council is Mr. Nate Wilkins. Mr. Wilkins, welcome back to council.
Was 1612 Arlington Ave, Mr. Lieutenant George Wilkins. Like I said last week, 318 Andy Housing on the property located on Genesee Avenue. Once again, I guess you got like 6 properties located in the land bank. And like I said again last week, I'm going to stand here again. Why do we have to hold property in a land bank for time after time again? And why does it have to sit in the land bank for X amount of years? Unfortunately, y'all had a property on Cleveland Avenue that's still in the land bank today at 1821, 1827. If we are talking about doing something with empty lots right now, we want to talk about affordable housing under $700 a month. So people don't have to keep crying and coming down here to City Hall. You know, now is the time to do something with vacant lots and vacant houses that sit idolized and empty time after time, years and years, not nothing to be done with them, except to be deteriorating. If we're going to do something like this, why don't we look at another agency called disability houses? That's what I don't see here in Ohio, as far as visually impaired houses. I was talking to a lady yesterday, went to the State School for the Blind, and there's nothing like that down here. But if we're going to do something, you know, take empty lots from the land bank and put them in affordable houses, I like to see 1 or 2 of these lots to be set aside for disability houses. We have a lot of disability people out here that's visually impaired and multi-handicapped. I'm all for this, but I want more clarification, what the time frame of this is going to look like, what architect and design, how these buildings are going to look on Genesee Avenue. I don't want cookie cutter homes. I want state-of-the-art homes that's going to last for a long time, a very long time. Nothing not to be built too quickly, something that's going to take 6 to 1 year to be done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Director, do we have a timeline, or can we just follow up with Mr. Wilkins? Those are very specific questions. So
Yes, I would be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Wilkins, for your advocacy and support for that ordinance. The next speaker to come before council is Emily Myers, speaking on Ordinance 1596. Emily, welcome to council. Yes, come on. Yeah, you can come on down. No, you're fine. If you would state your name and any organization name that you may represent, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Emily. My name's Emily Myers. Thank you. And I'm with a mutual aid group called Here to Serve. And I am here today because I picked this ordinance because it talks about security, and I really wanted to express how much that is detrimental to our folks who are experiencing houselessness and who go to public parks to feel a bit of safety, right? They have happy memories of parks. They feel like it is a safe space. And as you noted before, we have a really hot week coming up, and we have on the far south side at least 65 people who are going to be outside this whole week who have no place to go. They have no access to housing. They got an eviction notice and it said, call a phone number. And when you don't have a phone, how do you call a phone number? If you don't have a bus pass, how do you get down to shelter? And currently our community shelter board has a 12% success rating when it comes to emergency and transitional housing. So as you can imagine, people don't want to go to the shelter. They don't feel safe. When we talk about safety, like that's a big thing. People don't feel like they belong in this community. And unfortunately, we are reinforcing that when we serve eviction notices with duct tape on somebody's tent. And we have elderly people who are down there. We have people who were swept away in that flood, that had to be emergency rescued, and they were dropped off at Church for All People. And now here we are in this hot heat, and they're in the same space. So I'm here begging you to not make these people move somewhere else, to give them a place to be that is safe and doesn't pull their whole community apart. I already went to the area commissioners and they said there was nothing they could do. So I am here to beg you to please do something. And I don't need it to be a year from now. We need it now. We have $135 million in the American Rescue Plan funds. I know we can do this. I know we can figure something out, but we can't wait. If we don't want people to die this week of extreme heat, which is one of the biggest killers of people when it comes to the weather, we're going to see bodies this week, and it's going to be because they could not get into housing, and it's a direct failure of our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily, for your advocacy. I know that this work is being run out of the Development Department, and I was going to ask Director Jones if she could speak to some of the measures we're taking this week as we engage with the homeless population there.
Sure. Hello, Emily. So Emerald, I know that you talk to Emerald regularly. Emerald was out on site today. She did identify 12 to 15 people who were there, talked to all of them about health and safety in the heat. She has also been communicating with the shelter board. I know it is not the ideal situation, but we have been able to get them to open up beds and offer beds to anyone who would like to go in this week. So we will, of course, continue to have Mary Haven outreach out there all week. Emerald did communicate that although there is a delay, that we do anticipate the remediation on the 21st. So depending on the weather and everything going on, I do anticipate that we would move forward due to the overarching public safety concerns out there. But we do recognize the priority of health and safety. So I think that is our most immediate step right now. And of course, we're open to having any dialogue we can to continue to make sure that as many people who are willing to go in, we can find a place for them.
Thank you, Director Jones. I know that, and we appreciate the advocacy from the community. I think it shows that it cares. I know that this council has received countless calls and emails over the last week regarding our residents who are at the park. And so, Councilmember Favre, do you have any other additional notes on this?
Yeah, I would just also offer my appreciation for the community's continued advocacy around this specific situation that's taking place at Here Park. I would also uplift the work of the Department of Development, specifically Ms. Hernandez's work around engaging the community that is out there. It definitely has not been for a lack of attempts to get folks to go into shelter, but we also understand that we can't force folks into shelter. And so we have to create a better solution in the city of Columbus that meets people where they are at. We don't have that just yet. It is a continued conversation. It's one that I invite you and other housing advocates to continue to be in dialogue with us for us to strike the right tone. And it could be that there's going to be many different solutions that are going to help assist our folks who are experiencing homelessness at this point in time. But advocacy and continuing to bring these issues to our attention is the first step. And so I appreciate the department for moving with urgency this week, given the public safety concerns, and then our continued work around addressing this issue on a larger scale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And we will want to follow up to make sure that we're staying in contact with you. So thank you. Are there any questions or concerns with the rest of the first reading or consent agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion for approval of these items? Is there a second? Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Mr. Bangston?
Yes, with the exception of Ordinance 1395-2022 and A0145-2022, from which I am abstaining.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, with the exception of 1370, 1578, 1082, 1552, 1541, on which I'm abstaining.
Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Yes, with the exception of 1590, 1724, and 1551, for which I'm abstaining.
Mr. Remy? President Hart?
Yes, ordinance passed with the noted exceptions. We'll now proceed with the second reading of third day and tabled and emergency legislation. The first committee coming before council is economic development, chaired by Councilmember Bangston. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Just one ordinance today for second reading out of the Economic Development Committee. Ordinance 1531-2022 to authorize the Department of Development to enter into a grant agreement with Us Together, Inc. in the amount of $15,000 in support of the Gateways for Growth project of Central Ohio, to authorize an appropriation and expenditure within the Neighborhoods Initiative Subfund and to declare an emergency. At this time, I want to kick it over to Councilmember Remy, the sponsor of this legislation. Councilmember?
Thank you very much, Councilmember Bangston. The Gateways for Growth Challenge was created in 2016 to support communities that have demonstrated leadership and commitment to developing an inclusive, accessible, and welcoming environment to all residents. The American Immigration Council and Welcoming America have awarded over 70 communities nationwide with tailored economic research reports on the contributions of immigrants, technical assistance in the development of a multi-sector strategic welcoming plan, and matching grants to bolster this work. In 2020, Central Ohio, Columbus specifically, was selected as one of 19 communities in round 4 of the G4G award and was one of only 10 to receive technical experience. Central Ohio partook in a year-long strategic planning process and brought together leaders across multiple sectors to create a welcoming plan. This award served as a testament to the strength of the community and its multi-sector partners' dedication to building a robust plan that will benefit all residents. This year, Central Ohio was selected as one of 6 communities to receive G4G implementation, technical assistance, and grant award dollars to help implement recommendations from the welcoming plan. This award serves as a commitment from our national partners to continue support of our local welcoming plan, Central Ohio's plan for welcoming immigrants and refugees, as well as Central Ohio's commitment to engaging the community in this work. This piece of legislation actually is a match to the grant that we received, and I believe that Commissioner Kevin Boyce is doing the same from a county level. I would now like to thank my colleagues for all of their support as we've navigated this process since 2020. And tonight we are joined virtually by Guadalupe Velasquez, the Director of Welcoming City and co-lead of the Gateways for Growth Initiative of Central Ohio. Guadalupe, thank you for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy, Chair Bankston, President Hardin, Pro President Temp Brown, and City Council members. I recently was a part of a webinar where a legislator from Seattle, Washington said, policy without funding is a promise. And so for that reason, I'm grateful to be here and on behalf of Welcoming City and Us Together to say thank you to Columbus City Council for putting the support, both financial and also in resources to execute, to deliver this strategic plan to our community. The process that we went through, I won't go into too much detail because some of it was just read by Councilmember Remy, but we did convene a steering committee of 21 members. They were representative of various sectors. We also worked on a monthly basis with the New Americans Advisory Council. We also conducted 14 community focus groups and 4 community surveys. And as a result, we determined that there were 5 priority areas that we needed to focus on. Those areas are equitable workforce and economic development, education, connected, safe, and healthy communities founded on social justice, equitable access to services and resources, and that includes ESL. Obviously, ESL was an underlying strategy and goal that needed to be addressed. However, we also felt that it needed its own area of attention and focus as well. Also included in the area of access is access to housing, access to affordable legal services, and also mental health care. And really, it's interesting to be speaking at this time in the meeting because you've heard from MORPC about the growth and development. I know you've heard from me for many years presenting reports of the growth and economic contribution, and you've also heard from us together about the economic contribution that refugees and immigrants bring to our community. And then we also, the final priority area is civic engagement, government, and leadership development. And so our next phase is to do the implementation work, and we will convene another committee and widen that circle of participants that want to be engaged, and also find organizations that want to start making a commitment to being welcoming and developing and creating a true space of belonging. An example of what I mean by that is when we look at, everyone knows workforce development is not just to find employees, it's the retention of that action. And so creating a space of belonging in the workplace helps a great deal with retention. And as we have been known to be this welcoming community, we also want to attract new people to our community. And it is a win-win to create a space of belonging. The priorities, the goals, and the strategies are based on a targeted universal approach. And what we know from this approach is that everybody benefits. Although we are targeting a specific population, the goals and strategies can be utilized for many of our underserved communities. And so with that, we're going to focus on a few areas in each of those focus areas, such as small business development, such as emergency management and disaster management, and access around communication. Areas that we need to strengthen parent engagement in the school system. And so we look forward to having meetings with you to determine and identify exactly where you would like to see the focus be. The plan is a 3-year plan, so we have short-term goals and long-term goals within that 3-year plan, and then we want to revisit it. And this is all to prepare our city to actually apply to be a certified welcoming city with Welcoming America. And it's not just a certification to say we did it, but it's actually to build infrastructure and sustainability for these systems. And so with that, I just want to say that we will be having a public hearing. We'll be participating in a public hearing next Tuesday, June 21st, with City Council to discuss our plan more in depth. Thank you. We are truly grateful for all that you do to create a space of welcoming and belonging with great intention.
Thank you very much, Guadalupe. This has been a big initiative, obviously, for you, us together, the city, the county, many local national partners. So I'm very excited for the implementation work ahead. And I think I can speak for all my colleagues to say, when I say that we are very committed to earning that welcoming city certification and implementing a language access policy. As you mentioned, we are having a public hearing next Tuesday, the 21st at 5:30 right here in council chambers. It'll be to learn more about the Central Ohio's plan for welcoming immigrants and refugees. Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
I guess I should have passed it back to the chair, but my apologies.
It's fine.
It is passed.
Yes, it's passed. Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before council is Public Service and Transportation, chaired by Councilmember Barosa de Padilla. Councilman, the floor is yours.
Two ordinances today in public service. So the first one is a big one, 1485, 2022, to amend the 2021 capital improvement budget to authorize and direct the city auditor to appropriate and transfer funds from the special income tax fund to the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the transfer of funds within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to appropriate funds within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Shelley and Sands for the resurfacing 2022 Project 1, to authorize the expenditure of up to $14,529,545.59 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund and the Street Construction Maintenance and Repair Fund for the project, and to declare an emergency. So this is the first round of the annual street resurfacing program for the city of Columbus. We'll repair and repave 91 streets and construct 396 Americans with Disabilities curb ramps along those streets. There are many factors that we consider when recommending and scheduling a roadway for the resurfacing program. Those include pavement conditions, traffic, street maintenance input, public input, and 311 call center volume. The Department of Public Service uses a pavement management system as a tool to plan maintenance activities on every city roadway. So up on the screen, because you know I like visuals, you will see a map. And in a second, you'll begin to see this first round of streets, because that map I know is very hard to read. But you're going to see the first 91 streets that are going to be repaving. So while that is up, I'm going to hand it over to Director Gallagher. Is there anything that you would like to add or any other commentary? Nope. Perfect. For folks, I know that this is also hard to see, but it is there, I promise. You can go to columbus.gov/public-service/streets/resurfacing, or you could also Google that. And the page will come up. You can see how we make the determinations of which streets we're going to repave. And then tomorrow on the same website, you can see this list of streets. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Great. We will also be sharing that information on our social media channels as well, so folks can be on the lookout for that. Yes, Council President.
Councilmember or Director, if folks don't see their street on this current list, how does one advocate and how do we pick which streets are prioritized?
Yes, Council President Harden, Council Chair Barosa de Padilla, and other council members. The best way to do that is through the 311 system, and you can either call in or do that through the web, but that is the best way because that's how we track all the different asks that we get. And then we go out and, like council member said, we go out and evaluate each street. But the more requests that we get, then we know it's a priority for our residents.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Advocacy is key. It is always before the people that change happens. So can I get a second? Or do any of my colleagues have any comments or questions? Great. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second. Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Oh, my friends, it's been a long day. I'm going to continue on. Great. All right. 1494, 2022, to appropriate funds within the federal transportation. I'm going to take a second. Okay. Federal Transportation Grants Fund and the Transportation Grants Fund to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into a contract with Shelley and Sands Incorporated for their arterial street rehabilitation, State Route 161 to I-71 to Cleveland Avenue Phase 1 project to authorize the expenditure of up to $4,937,557.82 from the Federal Transportation Grants Fund, the Transportation Grants Fund, and the Streets and Highways Bond Fund for the project to repay any unused grant funds at the end of the grant period and to declare an emergency. So this ordinance will fund the next phase of the Parkville Street Springs Run Drive north and south of 161 project, which includes the preparation of detailed design plans for the improvements. These improvements will include the addition of pedestrian and bike facilities from Maple Canyon to Cleveland Avenue, new traffic signals, pavement widening and resurfacing, raised medians on the side streets, and the installation of mini roundabouts on the side streets. All of this construction will take place in 2023. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Great, seeing none, I will move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Can I move on to
Let's
neighborhoods, or do you want to take a break?
call. Is there a motion to recess? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
We're going to recess. We'll go to zoning as soon as we're ready. Regular meeting number 31 will now come to order. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. We will now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorrance chairs this committee, and all members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Harden. Before beginning tonight's zoning agenda, allow me to briefly explain our current rules pertaining to speaking before council on rezonings and council variances. We will only hear a staff presentation for ordinances that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if we have a public speaker signed up to speak against an ordinance. We have not received any public speakers for this evening's agenda. All speakers on council variance, including city staff, area commissioners, applicants, and members of the public, will need to be sworn in before they give testimony. Representatives of the area commission and applicants are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not need to fill out a speaker slip. On the advice of the city attorney's office, I will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under the pains or penalties of perjury? If so, please say I do. Thank you. Please let the record reflect that Shannon Pine for the Department of Building and Zoning Services, Dana Bleschmidt for the Department of Public Service, and Director Messer from the Department of Building and Zoning Services has been sworn in. First, we have rezoning 1572-2022 to amend Ordinance number 0349-2022 passed February 14th, 2022 for property located at 5756 North Hamilton Road by repealing sections 1 and 3 and replacing them with new sections 1 and 3 to include a revised legal description and modify the CPD text and plan to account for a larger site area. The applicant is Moo Moo Car Wash, care of Dave Perry agent. Proposed use is a ordinance amendment. The city department recommendation is approval. Northland Community Council's recommendation is approval 13-0. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Next, we have 1597-2022 to rezone 2127 East Livingston Avenue, being 0.56 plus acres located in the south side of East Livingston Avenue, 490 plus feet west of Sheridan Avenue from C4 Commercial District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is North Star Realty, care of Jackson B. Reynolds, attorney. Proposed use is a drive-in business. The city's department recommendation is approval. The Development Commission's recommendation is approval 5-0. Mid-East Area Commission recommendation is approval unanimous. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. We will now move on to council variance as part of the agenda. We have 0842-2022 to grant a variance provisions of sections 33332.035 R3 Residential District, 3312.49 minimum number of parking spaces required, 3332.05 A4 Area District Lot with requirements, 3332.13 R3 Area District requirements, 3332.18 basis of computing area, 3332.19 fronting, 3332.26 F minimum side yard permitted, and 3332.27 rear yard of the Columbus City Code to the property located at 464 Oakwood Avenue to permit a 4-unit dwelling and a single-unit dwelling on a lot with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. The applicant is Maplecraft LLC, care of Gary Dunn. Proposed use is a 3-unit dwelling and a single-unit dwelling on one lot. City's department's recommendation is approval. The Near East Area Commission's recommendation is disapproval 6-3. As there is a disapproval from a recommending body, we shall now have a staff presentation.
Good evening. This site is undeveloped in the R3 Residential District. The requested council variance will permit a 3-unit dwelling and a single-unit dwelling on one parcel. A use variance is necessary because the R3 district permits only one single-unit dwelling per lot. Variances to minimum number of parking spaces, lot width, lot coverage, fronting, minimum side yard, and rear yard are included in this request. This site is located within the boundaries of the Near East Area Plan, which does not contain a land use recommendation for this location, but recommends that new housing be consistent with the housing types, density, and development pattern of the neighborhood. City staff supports the requested variance as the proposal is consistent with the neighboring housing types and density. And I'd also like to point out that when this proposal was originally submitted, it was for a 4-unit dwelling and a single-unit dwelling. And I believe that is why the Near East Area Commission had recommended disapproval. They supported a similar project that council approved a couple months ago for the same type of development, the 3-unit dwelling and the single-unit dwelling. And that is what they have revised their proposal for this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pine. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments for Ms. Pine? Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Ms. Pine. Just point of clarification. So you said when the Area Commission first reviewed the project, it was there was a proposed 4-unit development on this parcel. It has now been reduced to a 3-unit.
Yes, the original proposal was for 5 total units, and they have since revised it for 4 total units.
Okay. And have we, I know that the vote wouldn't be taken again, but have we circled back around? Oh, got it.
Any other questions or comments from colleagues? Wow, got too close to that. So as Councilmember Favor was getting at with Ms. Pine, so one of the things that when this originally went before the Area Commission, this was a 4-unit, which was the basis from our conversations, was the disapproval. We worked with them, with the applicant, as Ms. Pine said, to reduce the density here that matched prior projects that had been approved within the area from the Near East Area Commission. They have not revoted, but they are not here tonight speaking in opposition to this council variance. With that, do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? One thing I would just want to emphasize, when I read the background, I did say a 4-unit. It is, in fact, a 3-unit dwelling with a single-unit dwelling with one lot with reduced development standards. Do any of my, with that, do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Zoning Chair Dorans. Just for point of clarification for residents who are watching, it is customary that when we're in situations like this, that it would not go back before the Area Commission for another vote, correct?
Councilmember Favor, it could technically go back before the Area Commission. It sometimes has to do with timing on how long they could put them back on the agenda. However, in this instance, with some of the informal discussions with, again, addressing the specific concern that they articulated within the notes. One of the things that comes through is that the Area Commission has the opportunity in the notes section of the forms that they fill out that get submitted to council is what was the basis of your disapproval, which focused on that higher density that they felt was inappropriate. So again, in this case, our discussions with the applicant focused on reducing that point of concern. So it certainly could have went back before the Area Commission, but I felt comfortable bringing it forward here tonight. So first, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back one. I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have 1592-2022 to grant appearance to provisions of Section 3332.037 R2F Residential District Use, 3325.231 Setback Requirements, 3325.241D Building Design Standards, 3325.61 Landscaping and Screening, 3325.281A Parking Circulation, 3332.14 R2F Arena District Requirements, 3332.25B Maximum Side Yard Requirements, 3332.26 C2 Minimum Side Yard Permitted, and 3332.27 Rear Yard of the Columbus City Coast, the property located at 21 East Arcadia Avenue to permit a two single-unit dwellings on a lot with reduced development standards in the R2 Residential District, and repeal ordinance number 2980-2017 passed November 20th of 2017. The applicant is 21 East LLC, care of Dave Perry Agent. Proposed use is a two single-unit dwellings on one lot. City's Department recommendation is approval. University Area Commission recommendation is approval, 1302. First, I move to accept. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Second, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have 1594-2022 to grant a variance provisions of section 3356.03 C4 permitted uses, 3309.14 height districts, and 3312.49 AC minimum number of parking spaces required of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 520 South High Street to permit a mixed-use development with reduced development standards in the C4 commercial district. The applicant is 520 Columbus LLC, care of Michael Shannon, attorney. Proposed use is a mixed unit development. City's department recommendation is approval. Breweries District recommendation is approval. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
And finally, we have 0875-2022 to grant a variance provisions of sections 3332.29 SR Suburban Residential District, 3312.21 AB1 D1 landscaping and screening, 3312.49 minimum number of parking spaces required, 3321.01A dumpster area, 3332.27 rear yard, and 3332.28 side or rear yard obstruction. The Columbus City Codes, the property located at 3840 Kimberly Parkway North, to permit a use center with reduced development standards in the SR Suburban Residential District. The applicant is Directions for Youth and Families, care of Nikki Wildman, agent. Proposed use is a youth center. The City's Department recommendation is approval. The Mid-East Area Commission's recommendation is approval, and it was unanimous. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to take this ordinance from the table.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Removed.
Next, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Accept it.
Next, I move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Adopt it.
I now move to amend to emergency.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Amend it.
And finally, I move for passage as amended.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
And thank you, Council President. That's all we have in the zoning agenda tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Seeing no other business coming before the zoning committee, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene, meeting number 30 in 5 minutes.
Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
We are, the next committee to come before council is the Neighborhoods, Immigrants, and Refugees Committee, chaired by Councilmember Rosa Padilla. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. 1481, 2022, to authorize the Director of the Department of Neighborhoods to enter into a contract with Reach Communications in the amount of $340,000 to implement the expansion of the extensive citywide community mobilization process with the focus on reducing and disrupting youth violence in Columbus, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of city code, to authorize the expenditure of up to $340,000 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. In 2021, the Department of Neighborhoods contracted Reach Communications to design and implement a youth violence prevention campaign that will increase adult and service provider engagement in support of young people ages 14 to 22. To date, partners and youth service providers have been identified, and Phase 2 will pilot intervention that includes 2 cohorts of young people from the Linden and Hilltop communities. And this ordinance in particular will fund the next part of this campaign. Director Diefendorfer, is there anything you would like to add?
Just say I appreciate the council's support. This really aligns with the mayor and council's commitment to youth safety over the summer, youth engagement over the summer. If it's passed tonight, we'll post information on the MBK website by the end of the month for how we can fill those 100 slots for young people that will become available.
That's exciting. Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy. President Harden.
Great. My second ordinance is 1500, 2022, to authorize the Director of the Department of Neighborhoods to enter into a grant agreement with Community Shares of Mid-Ohio in support of the Hilltop Rise Economic Community Development Corporation, to authorize an expenditure within the general fund, to authorize an appropriation and expenditure from the Neighborhood Initiative Subfund, and to declare an emergency. So this will be $100,000. So first, I want to take a minute because we do have a speaker to talk about Hilltop Rise, and I know we have another speaker as well. I want to take a moment for everyone listening to explain what a CDC is, because some folks may not know and want to make sure that we're all starting with a shared language and understanding. Community Redevelopment Corporations, or CDCs, are 501c3 nonprofit organizations that are created to support and revitalize communities. CDCs can be involved in a wide range of community services that meet local needs, such as development of affordable housing, education, job training, healthcare, commercial development, and other programs. In alignment with the Envision Hilltop Plan, Hilltop Rise is a new nonprofit economic community development corporation, a CDC, that is working to build a hilltop community where entrepreneurs, young people, workers, and individuals have the tools and opportunities to effectively build vibrant communities, successful businesses, and healthy, resilient families. Hilltop Rise will develop and implement creative community-driven strategies for development and will help strengthen the Hilltop's commercial corridors. This ordinance will provide funding to support the administrative costs for the startup of the Hilltop Rise Economic Community Development Corporation, in addition to the personnel costs associated with hiring the executive director. I'm going to hand it over to Assistant Director Diefendorfer again. While you're speaking, if we could have folks from Hilltop Rise come up to the podium, please. So,
Great.
Director Diefendorfer.
Councilmember, thank you. And council members, we really appreciate this partnership to make this possible tonight. This is a very exciting opportunity. As we think about work like the Envision Hilltop Plan, we recognize that it's not just the city, it's community, it's partners coming together across the city to really make those goals that the community identified become a reality. That's why we were very excited when Betty Janes came forward with her intention and plans to put this CDC together and move it forward. From our point of view and our engagement with her and the group doing this, we really see them as a long-term partner in the work to advance what's in Envision Hilltop, and in particular the place pillar of the plan. We're definitely pleased to see that the entire Envision Hilltop area is included within the geography that they're talking about for their work. So again, appreciate council's partnership to make this opportunity possible, and appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Betty, you want to come on up? So I would like to introduce Betty James, who's been helping to lead this effort, and you can also introduce your colleagues as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Perosa de Padilla and other distinguished members of council. My name is Betty James, a longtime Hilltop advocate, and now I'm proud and honored to serve as the chair of the Hilltop Rise Economic Development Corporation. I'm here tonight with two of our board members, Preston Steele, who sees the potential of the Highland West neighborhood on the Hilltop as the owner of the Hilltop Bank Block, which is now the new home to Roosevelt Coffee Roasters and Kennedy Books, and then Cleve Ricksecker. He's a visionary leader and urbanist with decades of experience of community revitalization. And I'm absolutely thrilled to have coaxed him out of retirement because he sees as well the potential on the Hilltop. So having lived on the Hilltop for 40 years, I watched our community change. And I was excited when the city invested in Envision Hilltop. After 12 public community engagement sessions, multiple focus groups, 30 events, and 50 hours of public review, it was really clear what our residents wanted. And then when Mayor Ginther presented this strategic plan in January of 2020, he said the next chapter of the Hilltop would be written together. And he went on to say, and I'm paraphrasing, Councilmember Bankston, you were there, this is not the city's plan, this is the community's plan. We won't do this to you or for you, but with you. And I took those words to heart, and one thing COVID afforded me was time to research, identify, meet with mentors, recruit the board, develop a plan to stand up Hilltop Rise. And once hired, our full-time executive director will work on the Hilltop, for the Hilltop. Hilltop Rise will reconnect, impact, strengthen, and empower business owners on the Hilltop. So converting vacant commercial space into affordable retail space, as Preston is doing at the Bank Block, for small, minority, and women-owned businesses will really help to revitalize the entire Hilltop. In addition to working with current business and property owners, will be seeking out new investors, encourage them to really take another look at the Hilltop, as our goal is maintain affordable commercial space as well as mixed income neighborhoods. We recognize that the scope and impact of the Envision Hilltop will expand beyond the boundaries of the initial study area, and the Hilltop is blessed to have several organizations dedicated to improving our neighborhoods. So our board and executive director will work hand in hand with our advisory council, community partners, stakeholders, and residents to ensure shared prosperity for all. So thank you, Councilmember Perosa de Padilla, Councilmember Bankston, and Councilmember Remy for sponsoring this important legislation. We look forward to continuing to partner with the city to reinforce and strengthen the Hilltop's commercial corridors to lift up all the neighborhoods on the Hilltop.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I do want to give an opportunity to our co-sponsors, Councilmember Bankston, Councilmember Remy, if there are comments or questions that you want to add at this time.
Sure. First, let me say thank you, Councilmember Perosa de Padilla and Councilmember Remy, for sponsoring this legislation in addition to our office. And, you know, when we brought it before you all, you raised your hands with excitement around this. I would also like to thank Betty James for all your tireless work. To be clear, when we started the Hilltop planning process, Betty was talking about this CDC back then. And you have put in the work over the years. You have put together a board, and a board that's not simply here seeking funds from the city, but it also is putting money where their mouths are and helping to raise additional dollars. So thank you for your continued advocacy. I also want to thank Director Carla Williams-Scott and as well as Deputy Director Diefendorfer for their continued work and the whole entire team at Department of Neighborhoods. And as Chair of Economic Development and Small Minority Business Committee, this is what I like to see. Members of the community stepping up and taking the development and improvement of their neighborhoods into their own hands. We've seen the positive impact that CDCs can have on their respective communities through success stories such as Elevate Northland, Community Development for All People, who we just recognized tonight, the Franklinton Development Association, and so many other ones. And as a city, I think it is important for us to support community-led endeavors meant to empower, uplift, and strengthen such as this one. And so I'm excited about the work that you all are going to embark on. And I think that it is the spirit of the Envision Hilltop at which you all are standing this up on. And I'm thankful for that work. And I think oftentimes when we think about neighborhood revitalization and redevelopment, it is messy work. And so often the question is asked, who is doing the work? And really the question should be is, who's the work for? And I think if all of us put the people of the Hilltop, our neighbors, our residents, front and center, regardless of who it is that's leading this effort, all of us should join hands and understand that the who at the center of everything that we do should be the people that call that place home and that work and live there. So thank you for being someone to raise your hand in that effort, and look forward to seeing who the executive director is.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Betty, we've been hearing from you since 2018. Appreciate the work that you've committed and put into this as we've moved forward. You know, when I was economic development chair, and I think the current chair shares the same sentiment, you know, we've got to do this across the city. We have to help stand up these organizations. The city can't do it all. We can't be the economic development for every single neighborhood, besides the fact that one size doesn't fit all. And only you truly know your community and your neighborhood, and so you are your best cheerleaders for that community. So happy to work with my colleagues, Councilmember Bankston and Barosa de Padilla, to help support and fund this. Look forward to the great work ahead and to see who you find as your next executive director. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have another speaker on this ordinance, Nancy Reinhard. Did I say that correctly? Come on up. So it is Reinhard. Am I saying that
Yes.
correctly?
Yeah,
Perfect.
Nancy Renard.
Please give your name, address, and who you represent, if anyone, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. I'm Nancy Renard. I actually live at 4355 Langton Road in Brown Township, but I own property on West Broad Street and have since 2006. I'm representing the Hilltop Business Association and its members, along with 2 other CDCs that aren't able to be here this evening. With that, we don't disagree clearly with the intent of all of this, but we're asking for inclusion. I'm also the representative for the NCR area of the Hilltop, and with that, we have, I call it my, we have such a large immigrant population there and a lot of different members. They would like to be included also. We have some things that would like to be more collaborative, and basically that's why we're asking, why we're here tonight. We're not necessarily disagreeing. We'd like to see more inclusion because of the members that are longstanding business owners that are there. With that, we ask just for a pause, a respectful pause, allow that collaboration to take place, and then proceed.
Thank
Simple
you.
enough.
Are there questions or comments from my colleagues? Thank you. Thank you so much for coming down here.
And one of the other things, we were instrumental in bringing the funding for the Envision Hilltop Small Business Growth Plan and basically did some of the development programs with that. So again, it's just a matter of asking for inclusion for the other members, which we haven't had a chance to have yet or see. Appreciate your time, and again, appreciate what's going on here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I do want to ask Betty James, is there anything that you want to add to just about the process?
On our board, we do have 2 business owners / property owners in Highland West and 2 business owners, property owners in Westgate, a little bit further west of the study area. We are, as I mentioned, going to be forming an advisory council because our board can only be so big. And so we are going to be collaborating with a lot of folks. I actually just spoke with the president of the HBA this morning and reiterated to him that we will offer a seat on the board for an HBA board member. And once he gets back from vacation, he was on the way to the beach when I talked to him, we'll definitely connect with him and get that done.
Perfect, thank you. Any other questions, comments? So I want to say that I think that this is an exciting time. I think that this is the best of us, right? When we have community members that are highly engaged and involved, when we have folks who are entrepreneurs, small business owners, who are really investors and champions of their community. And I think that the good thing about where we are right now is that we're at the start. We're not at the end. We're not at the middle. And there's lots of opportunities for us to come together, for us to build this together as a community, to ensure that voices are heard, to ensure that this is a community-led effort and that we are hearing all voices along with this process, which we've been able to do up until this time, and certainly there is space to continue to do that at this time. So if there are no other questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Moving on to the next, sorry, I have one more in this committee. Ordinance 1661, 2022, to authorize the expenditure of up to $400,000 within the Department of Neighborhoods, to authorize the Director of the Department of Neighborhoods to enter into a sub-award grant agreement with the Community of Caring Development Foundation and Afrocentric Personal Development Shop in an amount of up to $400,000 to add needed support services during COVID-19 for youth and families in the city of Columbus and to declare an emergency. This is through the 2022 Youth Community Empowerment Grant Program and other investments focusing on building up our neighborhoods. The city is investing in community groups, providing direct assistance at the grassroots level for our young people and for our families. Assistant Director, anything you'd like to add on this particular ordinance?
You said it very well.
Perfect. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row by voice.
Mr. Bangston? Yes. Ms. Barosa Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown? Yes. Mr. Dorans? Yes. Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed.
May I move on to Veterans and Senior Affairs?
Please.
Thank you. Ordinance 1373, 2022, to authorize an appropriation in the amount of $3,840,370 to the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund for the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging in connection with the Ohio Home Care Waiver Program and to declare an emergency. This ordinance will support the Ohio Home Care Waiver Program, which is designed to meet the needs of financially eligible residents who require an intermediate or a skilled level of care and who are of the age of 59 or younger. So this waiver in particular helps to ensure that residents who are approved can stay in their homes and receive the benefit of care instead of having to go to a facility or to a hospital. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or concerns? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second. Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bangston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Dorans? Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed.
That's all for me for now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee coming for council is Finance Committee chaired by Pres Pro Tem. Pres Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Council President. Before I begin with second reading in finance, I would like to welcome the new Director of Finance for the City of Columbus, Kathy Owens. And I'd like to welcome you to your new seat in council chambers. I really look forward to working together. We already had 2 meetings today. So we're on a roll. And welcome to the chair. And first in committee tonight is Ordinance 1516-2022 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to enter into a contract on behalf of the Office of Construction Management with Mull and Weithman Architects to complete architectural and engineering design, as well as construction administration services for the new Fire Station number 36, located at southeast corner of Harlem Road and Central College Road, and to authorize the expenditure of $1,795,515 from the Safety Voted Capital Fund. Back in December, the Office of Construction Management put a request for proposals out, and the city received 3 responses. Mullen Weithheim Architects scored the highest and will now be awarded the design for this fire station. And the project will include space planning, design, engineering, construction administration services, all to build our city's new fire station. It will be approximately 25,000 square feet, 1 story with subgrade lower level and 4 fire truck bays. The interior of the fire station will include a watch booth, sleeping rooms, kitchen, day room, medical storage room, turnout gear room, and public EMS room. Also a part of the design will be an external whole house generator, location fire alerting system, direct exhaust capture system, and possible use of solar panels, which is exciting. Do my colleagues have any questions or concerns? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
1 ordinance there for Director Owen's first meeting. So next, may I move to Recreation and Parks? Thank you. Ordinance 1331-2022 to authorize and direct the city auditor to set up a certificate in the amount of $1,322,156 for the purchase of equipment for the Recreation and Parks Department, to authorize and direct the Director of Finance and Management to enter into various contracts for the purchase of equipment on behalf of the Recreation and Parks Department, to authorize the transfer of $1,072,156 within the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund, to authorize the amendment of the 2021 capital improvement budget, to authorize the expenditure of $1,322,156 from the Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund, and to declare an emergency. This legislation will establish the funding needed for the purchase of equipment to continue maintenance and upkeep of our city's trees, parkland, sports fields, and golf courses. Currently, the purchasing office is in the process of soliciting competitive bids through a current universal term contract. The department is seeing lead time for deliveries on vehicles and equipment of 12 to 18 months on many items. So because of this, this ordinance is intended to keep our equipment and vehicle purchasing moving as efficiently as possible, considering those delays. Questions from colleagues? Seeing none, move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. And finally, may I move to 2 ordinances in education? Thank you, Council President. Tonight in education, we have 2 ordinances that both relate to the same new initiative to expand pre-K access over the summer. So historically, the Early Start Columbus program for pre-K scholarships has run during the traditional K-12 school year. But this year, this council passed an additional $1 million in the 2022 operating budget to fund a summer session to help children and their families receive expanded support to prepare for kindergarten. We know that by the age of 5, 90% of a child's brain has developed, making the period from birth to kindergarten the most significant brain development period in our lives. There's a proven link between high-quality pre-K experiences and kindergarten readiness. Summer session programming will help children make the most of those final months before kindergarten, our last opportunity to help them enter kindergarten prepared. So this initiative has 2 components. First, we've created pre-K slots at the high-quality providers of the Early Start Columbus program for summertime. Any family who's watching or here, or if you know any family who might be interested in enrolling, you should visit columbus.gov/education/early start, and you can find a provider near you there. Second is a partnership with the Crane Center for Early Childhood Research and Policy at The Ohio State University. So with their help, we'll reach an additional 500 families who opt not to send their child to an Early Start provider by equipping them instead with summer at-home toolkits. These toolkits include activities that promote language and literacy, print awareness, numeracy, and social emotional skills, all of which are vital for a strong start in kindergarten. Children who participate in this initiative will also be enrolled through a partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital's Pediatric Primary Care Network, with a priority on Linden and Whitehall children. By creating this summer session, our hope is that we can help even more children achieve kindergarten readiness, and as a result, become more likely to hit other key milestones later, such as graduating and going to college. Simply put, as policymakers, helping children enter kindergarten prepared is one of the very best things we can do. So thank you to the Crane Center and all participating Early Start providers for taking part in this effort. Thank you, as always, to Matt Smido and Sierra Adams in the Office of Education for being thought partners on this work and obviously many other projects throughout the years, but particularly on this pretty exciting summer initiative. Before I read the titles of the two corresponding ordinances, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I will start with Ordinance 1323-2022. To authorize the Director of the Office of Education to enter into a contract with the Crane Center for Early Childhood Research and Policy at The Ohio State University for the 2022 Summer Success Program to enhance the kindergarten readiness of entering kindergartners through educational summer materials, to authorize the expenditure of $144,499 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. I move for passage by voice.
Mr. Bankston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorrance? Yes. Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? President Harden?
Next, we have Ordinance 1405-2022 to authorize and direct the Director of the Office of Education to enter into contracts with Early Start Columbus providers so that they may provide summer programming for rising kindergartners, and to authorize the expenditure of $632,500 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. Did I say 1405-2022? I did, okay, that's the one. Seeing no comments further, I move for passage.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. And real quick, I just want to touch on one thing I said about the kits targeting Linden and Whitehall. And obviously, we're Columbus, and Whitehall is a separate city. And I want to stress that some of our most intractable kindergarten readiness scores, low scores, are in Whitehall. And we are a really transient community here in Franklin County, and a lot of kids are moving in and out of different communities. So we really wanted to target where we knew the problem needed to be addressed with this summer program. And we know that Future Ready is doing a lot of focus on Whitehall right now, so along with Linden. So we wanted to follow what they were doing in those two communities. We sort of strengthen numbers. Some of that work with families can only be supported by these toolkits. So I wanted to clarify that because I kind of threw it out there without clarification. Thank you again. And that's all I have, President Harden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee to come before council is Public Utilities Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dorrance. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. First, in Public Utilities tonight, I have Ordinance 1404-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to renew the Professional Engineering Services Agreement with Hill International Inc. for the Professional Construction Management 2020 project for the Division of Water, to authorize to transfer an expenditure of up to $7,371,100 within the Water General Obligation Bond Fund, and to amend the 2021 capital improvement budget. This contract assists the city with managing multiple capital improvement projects in the Division of Water to ensure the completion in accordance with design requirements and city needs. Work performance to date includes program support services, design phase construction management services, such as cost estimating, constructability reviews, and construction scheduling, as well as construction administration and inspection services. Future phase of the contract will continue these same services. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 1439-2022 to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Utilities to enter into a contract with Woolport, Inc. for the implementation of CityWorks Asset Management System for the Department of Public Utilities to authorize the expenditure of $182,785 from the Electricity Operating Fund, $1,602,628 from the Water Operating Fund, and $1,303,462 from the Sewer System Operating Fund, and $347,590 from the Storm Operating Fund. The CityWorks Asset Management System will replace the existing Oracle Work and Asset Management System and will support public utilities' immediate and long-range asset management needs. This project will be focused on delivering integrated software functionality and business processes, supporting inventory tracking and control, asset condition reporting, inspections, service requests, corrective and preventive maintenance, work management, mobile reporting, analytics training, and other data-driven decision-making. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you. With your permission, I'd like to move on to Criminal Justice Committee. Thank you. In that committee, we have Ordinance 1583-2022 to authorize the Inspector General to enter into a contract with the Saunders Company, LLC, for the purpose of providing professional marketing and public relations services to the Department of Inspector General, to authorize the expenditure of $24,500 from the general fund to waive competitive bidding and declare an emergency. The Department of Inspector General's duties include, but are not limited to, receiving all complaints of misconduct and or excessive force by sworn personnel in the Columbus Division of Police, filed by citizens, or initiated by the Civilian Review Board, in order to determine whether or not it needs to forward to an appropriate investigatory entity. It is essential that the public be aware of the Department of Inspector General's existence, its purpose and overall function, and the department's implementation of a communications plan that provides for appropriate messaging to the public. This contract provides design and development of an appropriate website, content, media materials, flyers, brochures, and other types of materials. The Saunders Company, LLC, is a minority business enterprise registered as a vendor with the City of Columbus. The Department of the Inspector General will begin accepting complaints from the public on July 11th, 2022. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage by voice.
Mr. Bangston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa Padilla? Ms. Brown? Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Abstain.
Mr. Remy? Yes. President Harden.
Thank you. Finally, I'm going to move to rules and reference. In that committee, I have Ordinance 1504-2022 to amend various sections of Title 33 of the Columbus City Codes and Title Zoning Code in order to update and modernize terms and allowable uses and to create the regulatory framework for solar energy collection and clarify the applicable development standards for such installations. This code change will create the regulatory framework for solar energy collection and clarify development standards for such installations. Other zoning code changes including updated terminology regarding religious uses, certain dwelling types, pre-K educational uses, transportation plans for daycare facilities, and other types of changes. This ordinance also recognizes other code provisions to achieve more efficient administration of the zoning code without substantially changing those regulations. This is not the major zoning overhaul that we've been talking a lot about at council. This is a bit of a housekeeping issue to help modernize some of the terms in there, actually to make the code flow and work a little bit better. The major overhaul is still some time off that we're engaging in. This council has been engaged in that work. So I don't want folks to confuse this ordinance with that much larger, more important work. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa Padilla, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, President Harden.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Yes. This ordinance is part of a number of ordinances tonight distributing federal emergency rental assistance grants to community organizations in Columbus. Councilmember Favor will go more in depth on those, but I will read the first ordinance. Ordinance 1543, 2022, to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to modify a sub-award agreement with Broad Street Presbyterian Church in the amount of $1 million to continue to provide rental and utility assistance using Federal Emergency Rental Assistance 2 funds to modify the terms and conditions of the sub-award agreement without seeking additional council approval in order to align with the most current version of the laws, regulations, and guidance, to authorize an expenditure of up to $1 million of emergency rental assistance to funds, and to declare an emergency. These funds specifically will be instrumental in supporting Broad Street Presbyterian's continuing to provide our residents with rent and utility assistance, ensuring that they maintain stable and safe housing. Do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage by vote. Voice.
Second?
Mr. Bankston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Dorans? Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? President Harden?
Yes, ordinance is passed.
And now I will give it back to Chair Favor.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, I am not abstaining on that.
May I have a motion to reconsider? Clerk, please call the roll. Just call it again.
Mr. Bankston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans? Yes. Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? Yes. President Harden?
Yes. Ordinance is passed. Or
It's
reconsidered.
Yes.
Is there a motion? So you can call it.
Yes, can I move for passage?
Second?
As reconsidered? Yes.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bankston?
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Sorry, and yes.
Mr. Dorans? Yes. Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? Yes. President Harden?
Yes, ordinance is passed.
And now I give the floor back to Chair Favor.
Thank you, Councilmember Barosa de Padilla. Next, in Health and Human Services, we have Ordinance 1545-2022 to authorize the Director of Development to modify a subaward agreement with Impact Community Action Agency in an amount up to $1.5 million to continue to provide rental and utility assistance using Federal Emergency Rental Assistance 2 funds, to modify the terms and conditions of the subaward agreement without seeking additional council approval in order to align with the most current versions of the laws, regulations, and guidance, to authorize an expenditure of up to $1.5 million of emergency rental assistance to funds, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance grants Impact Community Action Agency $1.5 million in emergency rental assistance to funds to support their efforts in providing emergency rental assistance, rental and utility assistance, supportive services, and targeted outreach to residents that have not yet had access to emergency rental assistance programs. Tonight, a total of $7.1 million in ERA2 funds were awarded to 13 organizations who have continued to provide rental and utility assistance to Columbus residents that have not yet had access to emergency rental assistance programs. Since the spring of 2021, the city has allocated over $25 million, which has provided an estimated 11,000 households with rent and/or utility assistance, essentials to keeping those families and residents housed. We have partnered with over 35 housing and human service agencies focused on hard-to-reach populations, including survivors of intimate partner violence, homeless youth, immigrants and refugees from several countries, seniors, and pregnant parenting single moms. Partnerships with multiple organizations have been critical to ensure that resources are deployed broadly in a timely manner. We cannot do this work alone. I'm very proud and grateful to our community partners for their ongoing efforts to support our most vulnerable populations during these challenging times. The collective power of our partners have impacted the lives of thousands of Columbus residents, keeping our neighbors housed. When we created the Stable Housing Initiative in August 2021, we knew that there was a critical need in our community for emergency rental assistance, and that need continues. The work of eviction prevention and investment in creating more housing stock requires a system-level change, and coordination in order to ensure that residents are served, implementation is efficient, and barriers to access from all sides are removed. Director Jones, do you have anything additional you'd like to add this evening?
Sure, I will add one asterisk. We've actually expended $25 million. I bet we sent you the wrong words. We have an allocation of $61.2 million overall from ERA 1 and 2 as the City of Columbus community, and we have obligated $51.5 million of those funds. We're very excited about the work we've done. As you said, it takes a whole community to reach who we need to. In addition to what you highlighted, I would point out that this funding has also allowed the city to undertake a couple of targeted initiatives as well and really reach those who need us the most. We were able to come alongside the city attorney's office to work with residents at Colonial Village as they navigated that process, as well as working with the Central Ohio Restored Citizens Collaborative to pilot a housing intervention for those who have been touched by the justice system. So not only are we trying to get the dollars out wide and far to everyone who needs it, but really look at innovative ways to provide housing stability to those who might not seek it out in the traditional manner.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Director Jones. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bankston,
Yes.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla, Ms. Brown, Mr. Dorrance,
Yes.
Ms. Favor,
Yes.
Mr. Remy.
Yes.
President Harden.
Yes, ordinance is passed.
Thank you. And last, we have Ordinance 1591-2022 to authorize the Board of Health to enter into contract with KW2, modify said contract if portions of previously appropriated and encumbered funds are unused, and reallocate unused funds by entering into contracts with newly identified and qualified vendors without the need for additional legislation for the implementing enhanced HIV prevention and surveillance for health departments to end the HIV epidemic in Ohio grant program, for the provision of services allowable under the grant for persons with HIV or AIDS in Central Ohio, to authorize the expenditure of $123,410 from the Health Department Grants Fund to pay the cost thereof, to waive competitive bidding of City Code Chapter 329, and to declare an emergency. Columbus Public Health receives funding from the Ohio Department of Health to create disruptive innovation by seeking to prevent new HIV infections by focusing on 4 pillars: treating HIV to achieve viral suppression, diagnose HIV so that all persons know their HIV status, prevent infections through PrEP and syringe support programs, and respond to HIV clusters or outbreaks within the community. This grant specifically focuses on the diagnose and prevent pillars by authorizing the Board of Health to enter into, and if needed, modify contract with KW2 to help Columbus Public Health partner with Stonewall Columbus, Equitas Health, Gilead, and AIDS Healthcare Foundation to host a free HIV STI testing event and promote HIV testing and PrEP initiation around National HIV Testing Day. This event will provide access to testing, consultation, and education for all participants while providing a fun and celebratory atmosphere, building off the energy of Pride Month, as well as National HIV Testing Day. This ordinance authorized the Board of Health to enter into contract with KW2 and modify said contract. I think we're joined tonight by Assistant Health Commissioner Tiffany Cross. Ms. Cross, do you have any additional information you'd like to share?
Thank you, Councilmember Favor. Just that KW2 will utilize the No HIV, No Fear campaign to promote HIV and syphilis screening as well as PrEP for National HIV Testing Day. Specifically, the campaign will focus its messaging toward gay and bisexual men, and it will be promoted on dating apps, social media, and local influencers.
Thank you for that information, Ms. Cross. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I would move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy. President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That is all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the final committee to come for council is the Public Safety Committee, chaired by Councilmember Remy. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. I'd like to invite Dr. Hanad Dwale, President of the Unique Foundation, to the podium as I introduce 1671-2022 to authorize the city clerk to enter into a grant agreement with the Unique Foundation in support of its expanded reentry programming for the New American Immigrant Muslim Communities in Columbus initiative, to authorize an appropriation and expenditure of $50,000 within the Neighborhood Initiative Subfund, and to declare an emergency. The Unique Foundation is a Columbus-based nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting incarcerated citizens from the new American immigrant Muslim communities. Unique engages with inmates prior to release to prepare them for community reintegration. Once released, restored citizens are assigned dedicated case managers, help individuals quickly find suitable housing and job training program through our community partners. I would like to thank my colleagues, Councilmember Rosa de Padilla, Councilmember Bankston, and Councilmember Favors for joining in support of this important ordinance. We know how important it is to work through programming for our restored citizens, and nothing is more important than the community in which you serve. So, Dr. Dwale, I'd like to thank you for being such a great support and resource to our community. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I want to first of all thank President Harding and the esteemed council members. I wholeheartedly, on behalf of Unique Foundation, thank you. As Councilmember Remy pointed out, Unique Foundation is the only organization doing reentry service targeted to the new American communities. We had the pleasure this evening in talking about the impact, the positive impact the new American immigrant community is having. I myself is a double immigrant. I was born in Africa, but I grew up in England. So it gives me a unique perspective in terms of how new immigrants, refugees, are integrating. There has been tremendous success. Looking around, you see the businesses, the contribution the new American community makes. But that comes at a cost. And as we see second-generation new Americans come to the forefront, we are seeing challenges, especially when it comes to connection to criminal justice and brushing up against the justice system. This is where we stand. I believe those who have been blessed have a responsibility to help others, and that's my maxim. I love Columbus. Columbus is my home. This is where me and my family reside. It's a great welcoming city for immigrants, for refugees. Your support tonight shows that not only do you recognize what we're doing at Unique Foundation, but your support is greatly appreciated. As we build up this program, we are doing it through partnerships with the likes of the Urban League, Hearts of Ohio, and many more. So again, I want to thank you for the opportunity, your support, and I hope this will be the beginning of many more. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dwale. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That is all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There will be no council meeting next week in observance of Juneteenth, so we will see everyone the following week back at council. Seeing no further business coming before council, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Council is adjourned. We have two non-agenda